Hello friends and welcome. Today we're gonna look at EHOME.xNova play Shadow Demon. He is currently on team EHOME, I believe. I think that's a recent change. Anyways, let's take a look at what he's got. Checking out his team. Good to know. 2 mangoes, clarity. Now the fairy fire is kind of interesting to me. So Shadow Demon, for Shadow Demon to get kills or do a lot of damage, he usually combines Disruption with Shadow Poison, and you want to get 5 stacks of Shadow Poison, ideally. That's going to cost a lot of mana. Disruption to 120, Shadow Poison 35 times 5. That's a lot of math that I don't want to do right now. Point is, you need a lot of mana. The mangoes help with that. They really do make a difference because of the way Shadow Poison works. It stacks up the damage a lot more. So you want to make sure that you've got the mana to do it, and that's what the mangoes are for. And then later, if you don't get a kill but you harass them out, I think the clarity is pretty good to fill up on mana while you do a pull or something. Iron Branch gives you a bit more of a mana pool, gives you some stats, that helps out. Fairy Fire is a little interesting to me. I didn't think of Shadow Demon as a right-click hero, so I wonder if this is useful for, I don't know, say he's expecting it to be a bit of a tough lane. It looks like he's against Mars and Earthshaker. He's got a Spectre, so his lane's a little on the weak side. And maybe that's what this Fairy Fire is for, to help him survive, maybe try to outplay them a little bit. Let's see how he ends up using it. And then, of course, the Tango itself, very normal. This is one way you can position, not reveal where you are. I usually like to run down here, but it is interesting. This is kind of a deadly lane if they walk out. Let's say they walk out to here, and they go for the rune. Earthshaker fishes them off, get speared, and you die. Or you take a lot of damage. So you can't really contest the rune. Spectre's pretty bad at it. And he's not good at short fights, right? This rune fight is not necessarily long enough for him to get 5 stacks of Shadow Poison. So he doesn't love that. And if they see him walk up, they might just back off until he has to approach the rune, and then they do the thing we just talked about. So I think walking to this rune is a little risky. But I like that he's staying over here and considering to steal the rune up here. Although it looks like they actually, if I'm looking at the minimap, they actually have 3 people over there. What? They all go to Spectre right at this moment. Now he gets to steal the rune. That's pretty fortunate, actually. And that's part of why you don't want to walk too soon. You kind of want to walk just in time, which he did. And actually, you know what? Let's, he's up here. He has 290 move speed. Started moving at 13 seconds. From right here. No, wait. 10 seconds about. He started moving. And it looks like he gets the rune literally just in time. This means he has to spend the least amount of time over here. You know, if he left earlier, maybe they would see him. If he left later, maybe someone already on the rune will pick it up first. I can't imagine that's chance. I want to believe that he knew that's 10 seconds. I never thought about that. But that's something pretty useful to know, how fast your hero is and then what's the latest you could leave from, like, over here. That might be something I have to go do. Because that was really nice timing. He got there just as it spawned, and I think that is optimal. Let's see what he's got queued up. Magic Stick. Mars casts a decent amount of spells. Earthshaker doesn't cast too many as a 4. End up taking Disruption first. I think this makes sense because Mars was right on top of him. Melee hero. He's going to win all the trades with Shadow Demon. And if Shadow Demon chooses to walk down like this, Earthshaker's going to stun him. If he walks home like this, Earthshaker probably still makes it over to stun him. So he has to take like this really roundabout path to get away. And that's a lot of time for Mars to chase him and make him lose a ton of health. I do think starting with Shadow Poison is a little more common. I don't play enough Shadow Demon to know, though. And I saw that some people do start Disruption. I'm wondering if it's because Shadow Poison in this lane is like not the point, right? You just want Spectre to farm. You don't necessarily need to get kills. And so Disruption can help save you. Why aren't we? There we go. Disruption can help save you. And look, like they got a decent amount of damage off of him with those illusions and with some auto attacks. So perhaps Disruption is good when you're going to get some decently strong illusions. This guy has 58 damage. That's not too bad. The illusions get 30% damage at level 1. And Disruption can help save you from like a stun slow combo from these guys. And then by the time you pop out of Disruption, you have a couple illusions. Although actually they always know, you always come out in the middle of your illusions, no matter what the orientation is. Like sometimes they pop up here and here, or here and here, or here and here, whatever. It's always, you're always in the middle. So that part does not save you from the enemy team, unless they don't know that. But at least you get, like, you wear off the slow duration from Mars, and maybe if Spectre gets stunned, you can save her for a little bit until the stun ends, and then she runs away. So that might be why he chose to start Disruption in this lane. That's what I'm seeing. Nice. That's another thing. You can use it. You know, it's not a nuke in the typical sense, but you just disrupt the enemy, and then they combo together to get the range creep. That's really unfortunate. Didn't stun him. Alright, this lane is pushing, and it looks like he wants to try to pull this camp, but it is blocked. Now, he knows he's not going to make it in time, already turns around. This is a mistake I make a lot, where I see I'm not going to make in time, so it's like, okay, I'll come back to lane and lane a bit, and then I'll go do the next pull, but then I lose track of time, and I miss the next pull. I have a feeling EHOME.xNova might be a little better than me. Okay, this is something I kind of like to do. He's trading with Earthshaker, right? And he's not really winning this trade. But I think auto-attacking like this kind of baits Earthshaker to keep chasing you, and you're hoping to, like, get hit as you get close to the creeps, and then that aggroes the creeps to run to Earthshaker, and that disrupts the lane. Because the way it's going right now, it's just going to pull. Whereas if Earthshaker draws this creep aggro, it'll actually help the lane come this way, back down towards the Radiant, ever so slightly, because he's going to take some damage, and he has to run and de-aggro to these creeps, and it's just going to be better than if these creeps ran straight to lane. But Earthshaker does not take that bait and go in. But that is something like I try to do every now and then, and I don't know if it's necessarily clear. I don't know if that's necessarily even what he's doing. Maybe he just wants to trade some right clicks in. But I think it is something you can try to do, where you bait the enemy 4 into accidentally aggroing the creeps to them, and then he has no choice. He has to go right back to the lane and de-aggro the creeps off of him. It forces him to do that. Looks like EHOME.xNova is going to miss the next pull, by the way. Okay, Disruption is saving his life so far. Getting a lot of saves like this. Yeah, he might Clarity here. Okay, maybe he wasn't going for the pull, and he decided he was just going to stack at 2 minutes. I think Earthshaker saw it, though, and it's going to get blocked. I wonder if he wanted to pull at that time. Maybe it is better to just do a stack at that point. Oh, he is level 2. Okay, as soon as this guy is disrupted, he can't attack Shadow Demon, so he salves up to get some health, and looks like he's going to start committing a bunch of Shadow Poison during this time. He's already at 2. Yeah, 2 stacks. That should be the kill. Knows he doesn't need more than 3 stacks. I think I definitely would have like just kept stacking him on, but that's a waste of mana. Now he is a little low. Going to do a hard pull. Marsh just died. Earthshaker can't contest this. Then TP's home. That's pretty cool. Okay, so he's TPing home. He has no more regen, so he can't really do anything in the lane. And walking back to lane at this point is something he could do, and then TP back. But then from the time, so that would be like 30 seconds walking home. What's he at? 290? A little more than 30. It's like close to 40 seconds walking home, then TP out. So TP would start a cooldown from then. Or he TP's home, and part of his 40-second walk back counts into the town portal scroll, which means in just another like 50 seconds, he's ready to TP around the map again. So I like him TPing first, especially because he's right here. And then he's going to buy a Windlace and Tangos to help get back to lane a little sooner. But I want to point out the fact that he did the pull first. This helps. Like, Spectre wanted to go back to the lane. And this will help establish the lane back here. Even though he's not here to help contest, I think that this will bring the lane back here, even if the enemy team gets some of these creeps. And they might. So we're just going to watch. Like, all he's going to do is walk back. And let's see. Okay, yeah, he got another observer. Actually, I don't think he ever had an observer down here. So now he's getting an observer for the lane. And I think he also picked up a new clarity. This is new regen for the lane. Windlace help him walk back to the lane faster, which if he had walked back first, he would not have had this Windlace. So this Windlace now cuts his time down from like a 40-second walk back to like, I don't know, 35. I don't know. Guys, I told you to learn them in the hard support guide. I forget them. I don't really. I'm a fake fraud. But we're just going to watch this and see how that pull helped to put Spectre in a good position before leaving lane. Like, so he's doing his support job and then he TP'd home. So Spectre's still getting some last hits. She had more creeps than they did originally. I think she had 3 and they had like 2, or maybe vice versa. These creeps have mostly died off at this point. I think that other neutral creep died without anyone being in range. It looks like Spectre is just within range, I think. And these guys are definitely out of range. So first off, one of the hard camp has died, and they did not get experience or gold. Spectre got a bit of experience. And they do get in range. It looks like... Okay, they're going to miss one last hit here. It looked like they should be able to get these. Yep. And they're probably going to get that hard creep as well. Yes. But look at where the lane is now. It's right by Spectre's tower, and she can play here by herself, which is good because this guy still is not back in lane. He's going to get here eventually. And as long as they don't do anything crazy, like they could technically nuke this wave really heavily, although he did just use God's Rebuke. They could use all their nukes, push this lane in, and then maybe it would start to eventually push back. But then at that point, Shadow Demon is back in lane. He can now do some pulls to help control that. By the time Shadow Demon gets here, it is laning as usual. Spectre might accidentally pull it in, or maybe intentionally. And maybe it was intentional, so she can get these last hits. Oh, we said Shadow Demon is now here. I suspect he might have been able to do this pull if he really wanted to. Use Shadow Poison and then walk down. Chose not to. Not sure why. Oh, might have been looking mid. I wonder if he would have or not. It looks like he had no intention of doing so. And the lane's kind of in an okay spot. It's a little bit pushed up, but not too bad. And maybe Spectre, maybe against Mars and Earthshaker, this is in the lane you want to pull if you don't have to. Even doing a half pull, perhaps. I feel like a half pull might have been okay. But then they do have more creeps, and Spectre only has 2. Maybe they dive her. They're level 3. He's not. So maybe it is better not to do that. Starting to stack up poison stacks. It looks like they're going for the 4-minute rune. You want this guy to start getting up high up there so that he doesn't feel like he can keep going. Maybe even disrupt him. Is he gonna kill this guy? Very close. Very close to getting the kill there. But he started doing Shadow Poison ahead of time because Earthshaker was still going to run to this rune just about until the 4-minute mark. And so if you wait till the 4-minute rune to start casting Shadow Poison, you're never going to be at 5 stacks. So he started early to try to dissuade the Earthshaker from contesting this rune. And if Earthshaker decided to follow through and go all the way to the rune, then it's possible to get a kill. And if he was actually level 3, that definitely would have been a kill. A high ground ward. What's mid? Viper versus Storm. You know what? This is pretty good against roamers like Earthshaker, who might run this way or, you know, TP mid and then run back to bottom. This kind of ward on their side of the map is pretty good to spot roaming. And it'll also let you know if Viper's like over here farming. And it gives rune vision of this one for Storm Spirit, so that, you know, this one is here a little bit longer, but it's almost dead. I can't ping. Oh, the time's there. 40 seconds. Look at that. And he's already out there. He was there for the rune, and so he's warding. He didn't do separate trips. It's all very efficient. Oops, let's get back to Shadow Demon. They might get the kill here. Wait, did he miss? I think he missed the first Shadow Poison. Yeah, so he just missed the first Shadow Poison. That might come into play here. It's going to be really close. Because that would be 4 stacks right now. It looks like it faded just before. I don't know if that's a replay bug. No, I don't think it is. I wonder if he could have gotten a kill if he had kept stacking poisons. Maybe not. Maybe that's why he didn't go for it, is because he didn't think he would get it. Still casting a lot of Shadow Poison, though, because the rune's coming up. Doesn't look like they're going to get it, though. Looks like they were kind of distracted. I kind of feel like they should have focused one guy. I guess he was lower at the start of that, but then Earthshaker started to be lower. And he's very low on mana, which means he's not going to be able to do too much. Might try to pull here, because his lane is really pushed up. Everything looks like he is. Okay, and to demonstrate, just to see, he has 3 creeps up here, so this will take a little while to push down. And plus, if you let this creep wave go in, it's going to take a little while to push as well. So it would be up here for like another minute or 2. Whereas pulling will still give them like, the lane will be here for like another 15 seconds before pushing down, 15, 20. And then at that point, maybe this gets contested. But again, the lane ends up in a better position for Spectre, which is really what they want in this game. Even if you end up giving a little bit of gold from these hard camps that get contested or something. I think, anyways. And he has some regen on the way, I'm going to guess. Otherwise, he has to go back to base. Clarity and a magic stick. They have been casting a lot of spells, and it's around that time when you might start moving around as a Shadow Demon. A little surprised he didn't try to double stack, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wouldn't have had the mana to do it. Use this disruption to secure the power rune. It didn't spawn down here, but that's what he's going for. Unfortunately, Viper got a regen. Viper is running Storm into the ground. At this point, it feels like there's not much for him to do bottom. Spectre is not a hero that's going to help get kills on Mars. And so I might be tempted, like if Earthshaker's gone, I think I would be tempted to try to do a lot of like half pulls, maybe pull this way, or maybe, you know, maybe my carry's like pinging me to attack Mars because it's 2v1. That might also be an option. But it's hard. Like if Mars is up here and you try to Shadow Poison him, you're going to hit all the creeps, which means you'll nuke this wave out as well. I think that's tough. And so I think it's interesting that xNova is leaving this lane. Now, partially, the 6-minute rune was why he left. He, like, came to stack. Okay, well, it was a mix of things. First, he was a little low on health, so it's like, okay, can't do much in lane. Let me go meet the courier, pick up a clarity sooner. And then at that time, it was good to stack and run to the rune. But now, instead of going bottom, it seems like he wants to head top. Where, you know what? If he ends up casting 5 Shadow Poisons on the creeps and taking those, it's not so bad, because it's not from your Spectre carry. But maybe he's just going to go back bottom anyways. Let's see where he goes before I go further. Maybe he's deciding. I guess they did see Viper move in here. Maybe he wanted to be in the area for Viper. Picks up a sentry. Suspects that because Viper was willing to run in here, he knew what Storm was up to. And you want to make that area safe for Storm to farm. So he dewards it. Maybe they communicated as well. Maybe they knew he warded there. I don't know. sees this one creep here. He's going to kill it off. He's going to get himself a little bit of farm and make sure that next camp spawns for Storm Spirit. He's running up here. Unfortunately, this camp is clear. So he could have stacked the Ancient camp there instead, but he didn't know. And Storm can't really do Ancient stacks, but he can do hard camps. That's why Disruptor prioritized stacking the hard camp instead of the Ancients, because technically Ancients are better to stack. But Spectre and Storm, not the best Ancient killers, at least at this point of the game. So the hard camp has more practical value. I mean, never did end up rotating mid. Looks like he's going to get the mid experience. This is some of the value of stacking. So, like, he stacked this camp. He's going to get a bit of gold from Storm Spirit clearing these out. And Storm now gets a little bit more gold than he usually would, which helps him catch up against a Viper. Plus, he wanted to stack this area. And the idea is that Storm wants to farm jungle here now because Viper is kicking him out of the lane. But even if it wasn't, even if it was kind of a close lane, stacking camps like this, well, now your carry wants to go farm it, right? And they're out of the lane, so now you as a support, you get to sit in lane and get some experience. And he was a bit under-leveled when he started to leave the lane because of how it went, and he had to TP out and all that. But now he's going to catch up due to this mid XP. So stacking creeps is not just a way to get your carries more gold. It also helps you... Like, it tempts your carries and mids to go jungle, and that lets you get this lane experience. And in this case, it's even better because Storm didn't want to be in the lane anyways against a Viper. Like, Viper does not feel the need to contest a Shadow Demon. It doesn't feel tempting. Like, oh, I'm going to kill this Shadow Demon who carries his position 5. So now Viper is going to go, like, do other things. But if Storm was in the lane, that is worth Viper's time, and Viper would be here kicking him out of the lane. So instead... by swapping, this is hard to apply in pubs. Mid players don't like to leave their lane. But at this higher level, Storm leaving is good for Storm. Now Viper does not want to be mid as much. And now this is good for Shadow Demon's team. Because Shadow Demon's getting a lot of gold and XP. Trying to not deny this catapult. Not missing last hits for it, of course. Now look at his ward, spots the 3 people moving around. Knows he can't do anything mid. And you see 3 mid, so maybe it's time to do something else. Stack, and maybe head top. Or maybe he stays in the area. What you doing? You see the Invis rune. Port player stuff. Got his boots. Getting some XP from being within range of the stacked camp. Let's speed up a little. Just like in the lane right now. A Shadow Demon at level 6 is pretty strong. Unfortunately, his Storm is behind, and Storm's kind of the playmaker while Spectre farms. But still, you want your ult on Shadow Demon, and so I think staying in the lane for some XP is worthwhile. TP's top because the fight's breaking out. Spectre does get the kill. This fight looks pretty good for his team. Tusk died, but they get some kills. Aw, his courier died. That's unfortunate.
Radiant should look to their bottom tower.
That sentry, am I crazy? Does sentry not cover this? Yeah, it does. I don't know who was pinging up there. Maybe it was the enemy team?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
No, why would we have seen the enemy team's pings? It looks like they overstayed their welcome a little bit. Shadow Demon dies for it. But you don't care too much. And it looks like now Viper is out of position for that Shadow Demon kill, and they're going to get him. So, again, good for the team. This exchange. A Shadow Demon would have loved to not die. Maybe they didn't expect the Earthshaker to be there. Or maybe they thought their team would rotate in a little sooner. And they definitely don't want to lose this bottom tower. And you know Shadow Demon is watching it. Because he knows we don't want to lose that for free. Even though that's kind of about to happen because everyone had rotated earlier.
Whoa.
speed up a little. Finishes Tranquil so we can move around. This has been a game where they've walked around a lot. Places a high ground ward. Now with this bottom tower gone, the enemy team may move into this area a little bit more. But because of the outpost change, they are still a little scared to come in here. So the cores, like Morphling, might move into here. But people who would de-ward this kind of area, the supports, they are still a little hesitant to walk in here. Especially someone like AA against a Storm Spirit and against a Spectre. Like, Storm sees you, that's a free kill for Storm. And it's not that weird for Storm to be farming in this area because Storm can't be in the jungles that much right now. So they have to be very careful. I think that's part of why he is putting this ward up here. This would let you see Morphling farming in here, and it's hard for the enemy team to come in to de-ward. Who took the tome? Who's got it? Who did it? I want to know. I can't tell who took the tome. It might have been Tusk. Tusk is now 6, so Tusk took the tome. I actually kind of think that Shadow Demon 6 might be actually better than Tusk's. 2 of them smoke. Maybe because they want to do a warding mission. Because I actually don't think these 2 can get kills on their own. I guess Storm is close enough to zip in, though. Spectre does not have her ult. What Midas? I guess she has to catch up. It was a bit of a tough lane. Actually, let's put all net worths. Where is it? There we go. Okay, Spectre's actually doing okay with the Midas. And they... Oh, do they win late against Morphling Earthshaker? At least at this point, they're relatively even, and that's kind of okay. Oops. Okay, you know what? It was close on the kill. And they made space. Like, honestly, even though it looked like they just fed a kill. You see how many people just rotated top? That feels good if you're just 2 supports that did that. A Spectre was up here farming originally. She sees that huge rotation, and she just TPs somewhere else, because this whole area is now relatively free. So this is creating space as support. They went up here. They were very close to getting that kill, and if it was a 1-for-1, they absolutely would have been happy with that. The fact that it's not, and they ended up just dying without getting a kill, now it doesn't feel as great, but it also doesn't feel too bad, because you literally just ping space created, and you're actually right. Viper, the most dangerous hero in the game right now, he went top, far away from all this stuff. Oh, bought another windlace. I didn't mention that. But this is very common to get a casual windlace to move around faster. Note, only last hitting with right clicks. Doesn't need to shove the lane that fast and wants to save mana. That's a common mistake from lower supports, is they're like always casting out spells. Now I feel a little silly because he started to use spells, but I do think this is different. Before, there were only a couple creeps left. Now this is a brand new, fresh wave, and he can see things starting to happen, and I hope this courier has regen on it. Yes. Okay, so now I think it's fine. I'm not just saying that because he did it, but because he now has regen here, he just shoved that wave out really quickly, and he's going to now have resources anyways. This will force people to come up here again, or at least one person. And now he's ready to rotate mid or bottom. Skill build, by the way, disruption, 1 point in both of these, and then max shadow poison. I'm pretty sure that's very standard. And of course getting your ult because it's quite strong. He's got his smoke. Maybe it's not gonna happen. His storm now has pretty low mana. Using your courier, check high grounds. Ooh, I probably would have missed that sentry. It wouldn't have occurred to me to walk up there. That's probably good to do. De-warding his jungle because his team, even though it's a little tough against Morphling and Earthshaker, I do think your team, especially because Storm came off to a bad start, I think you're hoping, okay, I think Viper will drop off if we get like BKBs and stuff. And Spectre and Storm are not that worried about Mars ult. So you kind of want to go late. And regardless, we want our jungle to be safe to farm up because we have cores who have been farming very heavily in here. So he's placing these sentries to try to make it safe, make sure it's safe. I like this. You'll spot people walking into the entrances, and it's a little less common to ward up here nowadays, I feel like. Maybe that's not true. Look at this ward. Anytime you place a deep ward on the enemy side, it's in a less common location. Not like right here, not here. Because this is just a spot. Literally things like this. When they happen to run through, you don't need to see them the whole time. You just see them like for a moment. You see like 4 heroes flash through, and that's all you want. You want this ward to survive for a very long time to look for things like this. I think that ward serves its purpose very well. Chasing Morphling because he sees all of them up here and he knows he has teammates nearby, so you can at least scare the Morphling a little bit. Buying lots of clarities. I'm kind of interested. Well, the courier was already here, actually. Shadow Demon actually can just use Shadow Poison to check the high ground. But when you have... I mean, if your what's it called, it's right there. Oh no, that's too bad. Doesn't look like they're gonna get the kill. That gank just... I almost forgot. I had a video I wanted to make, and that team fight right there reminded me. I gotta get back to that. So why did I lose episode? He's invis, scouting around a little bit for things like that, looking for Earthshaker. But now he wants to pull the wave away so that the tower doesn't die too quickly. I think that mid tower is still going to fall. They don't want to contest quite yet. There you go. Use Shadow Poison to check high ground. It's very brief, but you just cast it a couple times. You cast it like twice. The first time you cast it, you get to auto attack. Second time you cast it, is second auto attack. Started to TP bottom. Cancelled it. Looks like they saw too many heroes, maybe. Wait, did I skip forward or backwards? Am I dumb? Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe he never started. Oh no, there we go. I guess they were talking and decided we don't want to fight this. He started to because that's part of his job, though, is to like be involved in those kind of fights. And then they decided, I guess, the positioning was bad. Which kind of makes sense. They're all very scattered. And the enemy team's a little bit stronger, especially without Spectre having Haunt. I'm sorry, we didn't talk about these builds. He had the Iron Branch, and then he got the Magic Stick. And usually if you buy any Iron Branches at the start, you're going to build it into a Wand, and I do think Wand is pretty slot efficient for supports. He also got it after he had many of these small items, so I think that's great. Raindrops, we've seen him buy several Clarities, and so Raindrops will help with his mana issues and give him a bit of survivability against the enemy team, and hopefully reduce the amount of Clarities he needs to buy. He still bought quite a few, but I think that's just the meta right now. We just buy a lot of Clarities. Gets the Keen Optic from Storm. That's pretty nice. Maybe he won't have to buy as many Clarities now. He's got a smoke ready. Spectre has Haunt, or is about to. Oh, I thought they were going to save her. Here he goes. Oh, wait, okay, this is too fast. Slow down. Is that an accident or intentional? Okay, ult this guy to help get the kill, I think. And because everyone else important was not in here. Now Morphling is in. I kind of feel like... No, maybe it does make sense to disrupt Morphling and hope that Storm can ult away. I think that might be what happened. Rather than using your ult on Storm to temporarily save him while he's stunned, but then he can't really... Like, once Disruption ends, they're right on top of him, and you have someone like Earthshaker who can try to time his stun as the Disruption ends. So maybe it is better to just disrupt the Morph. You get the Morphling illusions, which do a lot of damage, and then hopefully Storm escapes in that time. I kind of thought that maybe he would use it on Storm first. But now talking it out, I think what he does is good. Then, what else? So they are going to get the Earthshaker. Yeah, you can see the damage Spectre and these Illusion are doing. They're probably not going to kill the guy, especially because he's a Morphling with double damage and he has a shift to strength. Look at these jukes. Unfortunately, AA is there to provide vision. Buys another smoke. Now the play was that they would start a fight with Spectre Haunt, and they would get a pick off with Orchid Storm. Unfortunately, they started killing Wind Ranger first, so the plan didn't get to go the way they wanted it to. Will they try? No, it's dead. Okay, Morphling having a good start, but we see Spectres up here. Still a little scary though. Looks like they want to try to kill this Morphling. And so he's placing some wards down. Plus, this is just some pretty nifty vision, honestly. Laning wards are always cool. Now that this tower is down, there's often not vision up here. And so heroes will feel safer in this area. Because, like, why would you ward up here? That's pretty much it. Why would you ward here? Right now, they would not see Morphling without these wards. And that... Let's see if they actually get a kill with it or not. Before I talk too much. Nah. Maybe? It was very close. It was far closer than I thought it was going to be. My Spectre's gonna die instead. I'm not 100% sure what they were waiting for. I wasn't sure if like Storm was gonna rotate up. The issue is that she doesn't have a blink, and his stun is like too slow to happen. So maybe that's the best initiate they can hope for, where he just walks in. But as soon as Morphling morphs strength, it's like we saw, it was pretty hard to kill him, and they still did more than I expected. But, you know, if Storm is there to start that initiation and silence him before he can morph or vortex him, like that's a very different story. Aw, Wind Ranger dies too. We still feel okay if we're Shadow Demon's team, I think. We feel a little pressured because Morphling is off to a very strong start, and it is this kind of annoying combo of Morphling Shaker. Okay, actually, wait. Double stacks. Oh, sorry. Finished last point, but you still have a Spectre, and Storm's very good in the late game, and she scales pretty solidly as well. So overall, you feel okay. Plus, you're a Shadow Demon when you get to steal the illusions of a strong Morphling. That's pretty good for your team. Double stack using Shadow Poison, and now he actually clears the hard camp stack with his Poison. He does want to start getting items. Bought a Void Stone first. Anytime you're getting Aether Lens and you don't go Arcane Boots, or let's say you go Yule Scepter, I always see every pro start with the Void Stone because the mana regen is just better than flat mana pool, usually. Just throw that out there. Clears his own stack to get some farm, and I think that makes sense. You do have to find time to sneak stuff in. And look, like, two of his cores were dead, and so no one was up here farming anyways. What if the enemy team had come and stolen that stack? Now, they might still steal the Ancient stack, but the Ancient stack's further in than the hard stack, and now this hard camp will respawn at the 22-minute mark, And if we'll try to keep an eye on the minimap. I don't think any of his cores will get there. And if he hadn't stacked it, it would have just been one camp anyways. So he stacked it himself. He cleared it. And it will respawn. And no core ever missed out. Because all they ever would have gotten was one hard camp anyways. This is how supports can sneak in a bit of gold. You got 2 camps worth there. Never disrupted his carry's farm. It is now about to spawn again. Boom, look at that. Now he is just out here on his own. Placing a deep ward. Another ward I'll mention. Less common. You're just looking for the rotations of heroes. Something that's going to last for a long time. Over here, much more likely to get dewarded. And I think we even saw they have they have a sentry right here. Looks like it's bugged. I think it shows his team having a sentry here, but I don't see it. So if he had warded here or like here, I like this spot a lot. But this spot is actually already covered by the sentry here, I believe. It's hard to tell on the minimap. If you had warded up here, this sentry covers that if they have something there. So him walking up here. Let's go back. Did he check the high ground himself? Oh no, okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. So he did check the high ground to see if they had a ward there. They didn't. And now he feels relatively safe because this sentry's here. He's going to leave this sentry up so that the enemy team does not know he walked through here. Because the sentry provides no vision, so it has no idea that he like aggroed these camps at all, and there's no wards here or here. Now there might be, for example, a ward here, but that's a little unlikely if you're the Dire, right? You usually put the wards closer to the edges here because you want to spot people walking in. If your ward is all the way back here, like, and you're farming this ancient camp, by the time the ward sees the heroes, they have already spotted you. So it's like not so useful. So the fact that he puts the sentry here and sees that no one, like, they don't have vision here, he feels a little safer to walk in further.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Ends up choosing to ward here. I'm not 100% sure why he chose to walk this path. Maybe he was still deciding where he wanted to ward. Maybe he was being careful in case they had a ward here. Maybe he wants to play it off like, oh, I'm walking this way, pretending I'm warding here. Now I'm going to run away and drop the ward here instead. And I know you won't see me as I leave here because I have this sentry here. So you'll have to guess, like, somewhere in this area I warded. Maybe they'll think I warded up here. Maybe that's what he's doing. But I like that he didn't attack this sentry because that would reveal that he was here. Now, later, they will walk down here if this sentry is still up. And they'll see this, and then they'll know, oh, he was in the area. But where? Here? Down here? 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 It takes like 5 sentries to cover this entire area. And so by the time they realize he was in this area, they'll know there's probably a ward here, but they won't know where. And they'll have to waste sentries trying to find it. And hopefully that sentry just dies, and then they'll never know. Yeah, see, it's not showing on the minimap. I don't know what's up. Is it actually, like... It's there. I don't know what's happening. It threw me off, guys. Morphling is really strong right now. Let's look at this guy. Lots of attack damage. Has the Aegis, Orchid, or I'm sorry, Manta for the Orchid. Working on the Aghanims. Bit of a scary fellow. Using spells to shove up the lane, force people to rotate over here. Looks like she's dead. 3 heroes there. So, again, you don't feel too bad. When you die on the enemy's half of the map that far up, and they bring multiple heroes, you know, space, lol. She almost died for that? This might be a good example of why Morphling is scary right now. Let's see. Who ran into who? Oh, Morphling ran into him. I thought he went on Morphling and almost died. Yeah, that's why they don't quite want to fight right now, because Morphling is strong and Morphling has Aegis. Checking high ground. Now, why does he place one on his own high ground in this defensive spot? Well, look at the towers. They're losing all their towers. They have this mid tier 1 and or tier 2 and this bottom tier 2. And if the enemy team, what am I trying to say here? You could put your ward here, right? And you would see enemies walking in, sure. But then what if they walk past that ward and they're playing in this area and they're pressuring this tower? Well, I don't actually see them with this ward. And so this ward lets you know when they're in this area farming and whether it's relatively safe to come out and farm here. Now, of course, you don't see them coming in anymore. But with the way towers are pushed up and the fact that the enemy team... What am I saying? Let's swap sides. Let's say you're Dire. Let's say you're Radiant, sorry, and you're invading their jungle. The Dire would want wards here because the Radiant feels scared to poke their heads up to here. And this area already feels inherently safe because you have all these towers. Whereas on the Radiant side, the Dire is not scared to walk up here anymore because they have all these towers and because they're strong. Where the Dire is a little hesitant to be is like way up here. And as Radiant, that is like you draw this imaginary line of like, where should they be scared of walking up? You know, if I'm Radiant and we saw EHOME, he walks up here. This is the scary part. Walking up this high ground, and then you find out they don't have vision, and you're like, oh, I'll walk all the way into here now. This boundary layer is where it is scary to go into. That is where you want wards usually to spot people entering in. This is now like the boundary layer because we don't have these towers. It's not out here. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I think of it. And like to defend this tower. The fight's gonna happen here. Let's get to his perspective. Well, that went well. Let's look at why this went well. They've been avoiding fights till now. But now, everyone is full health, and the fight starts with Morphling coming under the tower. Spectre's able to get the AA in the back here with his Haunt. And because they're under the tower, they have the bonus damage from this tower, the heal, the armor, and the heal. Does it not? Oh, maybe it doesn't read. I swear this also gives you HP regen, but it's just not on this description. I am confident it does. So they have this armor and the HP regen, and like that's good. That's great for them. Now, this is very unfortunate. Well, it's very fortunate for EHOME's team. It's unfortunate for the Morphling. You see, once he loses his team, he's now more fragile. Even though he has max, even though he shifts to strength, like there's 5 people hitting him. Nice. If I'm Shadow Demon's team right now, I feel great. We were scared, but we just got Aegis. We just wiped them. We didn't lose a single hero. The momentum is now in our favor. I literally feel like we won. I know that's not fully the case. You still have to play it safe. But like winning something to that scale was the hard part to come back. Because Morphling was strong, because he had Aegis, it was like, we need to survive this Aegis and then maybe the next one. But now we did more than survive. We just wiped them. We actually feel really good right now, in my opinion. Still have to be a little careful. Can't do anything too dumb. I know before we didn't feel like, oh, we haven't lost yet, but it was still very scary. Now it starts to feel a lot better. I suspect we'll see that reflected. Now we're definitely going to feel that way. Is he going to get out? Okay. We just got 2 more consecutive kills. The Mars kill was fantastic. The enemy team was still dead. They can't fight here. Even under... This is the difference, right? When we dive Mars under his tower, the enemy had heroes dead, and they can't rotate. Now Mars is dead, and even if we fight under their tower still, it's 5v4. And if we fight over here, where it's not disadvantageous to us because we're not under their tower, it's 5v4 at best in our favor. Of course, we are low on spells, but still, just the hero count alone is better. And then While Mars is dead, we managed to get a second kill. Almost even a third, actually. That was a little scary.
Someone lays blame. Stupendous.
Definitely feeling good on Shadow Demon's team now. Picks up the Aether Lens. Always getting more sentries. Wants to check this area because the enemy team was willing to dive under this tower, which means there's a good chance they have vision here. And because they wanted to play aggressively. Remember, thinking about that border, what I call it, the boundary layer. That's some engineering term right there. This level of like, where does it start feeling dangerous to like approach? And the enemy should feel like around this area where it's like, hey, look at this map. In fact, let's switch vision. Let's go to dire vision. Before, when they had pushed up, where's their vision? Like, it's like around here. Well, actually, also around the outpost a little bit. But it's like in this area. And so that's where you would have wards as well. Like, why would you have a ward way back here if this is the area you are playing in? Like, why do we need to see back here? We need to see up here where we're playing. And that's why EHOME is checking these areas. Oops, back to his vision. Okay, checking these high grounds. This is where the enemy would have placed wards if they want to play this far up. 3 more sentries. The tide is shifting. You want to remove all their vision and get things going for your team. Just has more stuff queued up. If you look at his inventory slots, so 4 items are filled, 2 consumables, more or less. Smoke can easily be swapped out for the wards when he needs them. This raindrops will die off and clear up eventually. You'll still need 1 slot for wards and smokes anyways. And so, I don't know what I'm going with this. I just like that. I just want you guys to see that, like, as he is approaching the point where it's time to get a new item, he finishes Aether Lens, the next slot will clear up. I guess it's to highlight, like, one of the values of raindrops, because it will get used up, but it's not used up too quickly. Right? He still has it from whenever he bought it earlier. I should have taken note of the timing. And look, he wants his wards out, but he wants to be ready to smoke. Doesn't quite need, like, he's missing a little bit of mana, but he's got the Aether Lens. So he's willing to swap raindrops out. Is the point of that. Alright, we might have to... Enemy team's going on Spectre. Spectre Haunt. Could just disengage right now. But you have 5 of you here. And if we looked at the Haunt, we see that one of the heroes is back here, the AA. So although AA can ult, AA is not here to cast Cold Feet, stuff like that. So this is like an okay to good fight to take. Even though Haunt is now technically down. Just because you have the 5-man advantage. So it looks like he's going in first, trying to check for vision. I think he's going to get killed before he can use any abilities. No, Snowball saved. Wonderful. Earthshaker killed before he can do too much. This is the power of the combo, right? Morphling Earthshaker kills Shadow Demon in one auto attack. About 2 auto attacks for Tusk. But in that time, they've killed the rest of his team and is now 3-on-1. This is kind of how you deal with heroes like Morphling, Medusa, even Spectre to an extent. You kill her team, and then you go on the heroes. Beat up again. Roshan, not up yet. But that is your next... If his team gets Aegis, they're going to feel wonderful. They're already... They should... Obviously, they can't tell they're in the lead, but they should feel like they're in the lead. Like, look how that fight went. They feel strong right now. If they get this Aegis, which they are, then how does the enemy team come back? Go, guys. Don't forget the cheese. But how does the enemy team come back from this? They have about 5 minutes with the Aegis. Technically infinite duration whenever they use the cheese, except they didn't take the cheese. That's pretty funny. Within 5 minutes, it'll get to about 33 minutes. Spectre, like, she's now #1 net worth. Well on her way to being incredibly strong, difficult to kill. Same with Storm Spirit. He's now picking up the pace. He's got his BKB. He's got his Orchid Kaya. He's very strong as well. And he's only going to continue getting strong, while Viper is going to drop off. Although Viper 25 talent, the silence is pretty strong. What a guy. Still going to kill him, though. That was a fast blink reaction. Maybe because we're playing at 1.5 speed. But anyways, that's why I feel this second Aegis is really powerful. Now the enemy team side is like, okay, we need to survive this Aegis, and then we can do something. So it's like 5 minutes where you just feel really bad. But maybe not totally out of hope yet. You still think maybe we can win with this busted combo. But now we have to go really late as well. And we don't love doing that against Spectre. It looks like this game is not going to go too late. Paying the double damage. He can clear this small camp. You know why? Because his team is going to push up. I'm going to highlight this. He's stealing more farm, except it's not stealing. He's just securing farm for himself that his carries will not miss. Watch the carries for the next 30 seconds. We're all going to farm up here. No one misses this small camp. If Shadow Demon didn't farm that small camp, then we would have just... like, nothing would have happened. He never would have gotten the gold, and that camp just would have stayed there, blocked the spawn at 31 minutes, and, like, that's it. But instead, he got gold. He got that small camp. Look, it spawned. Now his team is here. Wonderful. Taking aggressive farm now. His team just backed off. They're going to farm their own jungle for a little bit. No one wants to be up here. Who might be up here? The enemy team. Who is he stealing this from now? He's not stealing it from his team. He's stealing it from the enemy team. Maybe he's not even going to finish farming it. Nah, he is. He is. Look at this. Now let's keep an eye. Let's see if the carries come up here. They might, actually, honestly. Because he farmed it so quickly at 31 minutes, they may actually end up coming up here. Looks like they're not, though. Storm farming up here because they have some wards. They can play aggressively. Oh, look at that. No one is there yet. Spectre. Okay, looks like Spectre might get here just in time to farm this. But it's fine. She'll just go farm the small camp. Maybe she'll even get out in time? No. But now by the time she comes to farm the hard camp, like, it's fine. So we could argue, okay, Spectre would have liked to farm this camp, Midas it, kill it, back out. It probably would have spawned again. But you see how close that was? It was like at the very end of the 32 minutes. And honestly, she wasn't disrupted that much. She walked over here, farmed this. Now she could walk back. This is a less than optimal movement pattern, but it's not too bad. It's not like taking this hard camp while the carry is farming right here, or taking this hard camp while the carry is farming this lane and they're about to move into this jungle. This was like the very end of the spawn time by the time she got here. It was very close to not affecting her at all. Team's up here, time to smoke. Still got Aegis, want to play aggressive. Don't have much longer on it. In fact, do you still have it? They do. Is the cheese still in the fountain? Awkward.
Top tower has fallen.
Buys a glimmer. Okay, I didn't say that. So he did buy a glimmer. Oh, let's look at his talents too. Sorry. It's difficult to like pay attention to the leveling. Talents, 75 cast range is fantastic. Lets you cast Shadow Poison further. If you want to play really safe and like check the enemy high ground, 75 range safer now. Disruption is your save and kind of your initiation, so the farther you can cast that, the better. Demonic Purge, also an excellent ability in terms of... It's not really an initiation, but you just want to be able to use it, and you don't want to have to be right next to the carry to use it. So any amount of cast range on this hero feels wonderful, especially combining it with Aether Lens. You can cast from really far away now. You're not the damage in this game. Look at your chorus. They do tons of damage. You just need to survive, enable them, help them initiate, stuff like that. The movement speed helps with that. Glimmer, use it on whoever gets AA bursted, try to protect them a little bit. Maybe whoever gets Viper ulted. And it saves him a little bit. If this guy wants to come up and combo him with the... he didn't go the E-Blade build, but the land enchant totem into Adaptive Strike is still quite strong. This protects you from the Adaptive Strike. And if you're invisible, hopefully he won't even see you to attack. So there's like double value from the Glimmer. And then the gem is a let's close out the game kind of item. Let us remove all of their vision, make them terrified to play on this map. They probably should have captured this. I guess they have time to do it anyways. Didn't want to ruin his ward, but I guess Storm was watching bottom. Or didn't want to ruin his smoke. Yeah, look at this. This game shouldn't go too much longer. Well, I guess they still have 2 tier 2s to run through, but... Oh, thank you, Gem. Protect me. I didn't even notice. He has a Shadow Blade. That's another... That's actually probably the main reason he bought the Gem. Is that... How do we lose team fights right now? If we're feeling overconfident and they get like a wonderful Echo Slam into the full combo sort of deal, that's how we lose. Let's remove that. Let's get a Shadow Blade, or let's get a Gem to cancel out his Shadow Blade. Because his Blink is effectively canceled by Spectre's Haunt. Oh, they actually have a Gem themselves. Who has? Just for the Glimmer Cape? Interesting. For the Glimmer and maybe for the dewarding.
Dire structures are fortified.
Actually, I've heard in China they tend to buy gems more often than like we do in NA. I don't know how it is in Europe. I mean, the gem is effectively a very powerful item because you can deward everything, and if you have vision, you can win the game. Just put his gem on the courier, though. Oh, wants to give it to... Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, that's weird. I thought you bought it to counter the guy. But he's just going to hand it off to a core instead. Because who's going to chase this like Shadow Blade Earthshaker? Is it the Shadow Demon? No. But the Storm sure can. So giving him the gem. He's also very safe with the BKB plus Bloodstone plus ult. Whereas Shadow Demon's much more likely to die. Illusions no longer give gem vision, by the way. That used to be the case, so if you're an older player, just a heads up, doesn't work that way anymore. That used to make Shadow Demon an excellent gem carrier. I remember I beat a Techies once because I bought like first item gem, and I would just disrupt myself and send the illusions out to kill wards or kill mines. And at that time, that was even better because of the way mines worked. So that used to make him an excellent gem carrier. And now it's not. It doesn't work that way, so hand it off to your cores. Now that I'm done with my story, bragging a little bit. Even though they're in the lead, look, they're not playing crazy. They're actually 20k in the lead. Oh my gosh. They're still not going crazy, right? The enemy team is missing. We could still lose fights if they get an incredible combo off. Let's still play a little safe, hide in the trees, look for that pick off. We scan up here. We know there at least someone is up there, so now we don't feel so bad coming up here. Look how far he can ward. Aether Lens and cast range talent. Incredible. Behind this tree, he is warding in their base. And that ward is because they want to start pushing up here, and you like to have vision of the enemy base. Still being a bit cautious, right? Like, where are they? All right, we see Mars. Mars is part of that super combo. Was Ranger 25? Oh no, she just got a Shadow Blade. I may have missed that earlier. Has an Aeon Disc queued up. I can see that. This guy just destroys people with this Earthshaker combo, so the Aeon Disc will keep you alive for a little bit. That's pretty cool. I don't know if that's what he buys. I feel like that's not, if I remember the scoreboard correctly. Smoke broke? That may have been timing. I may have missed that. Looks like it may have been based on time. Yeah, okay. See, I thought he may have been checking because his smoke broke, so he was like, oh, maybe Morphling is hiding in these trees or something. But maybe he was just checking anyways, just in case that was still the case. You can start to see some of the enemies. Look at this ward, right? We're not placing it in the most common spots, a little far off, because I just want to see them as they walk through. Really nice. Shadow Poison. So that's what you have to do with Shadow Poison. I'm glad we got to see it at least once. If you want to clear high ground, that's how you do it. Probably could have used his Courier, actually. The Courier was in the area. But you see he even like glimmers in between it because he's a little scared to be up this far, dewarding by himself. This ward allows you to see like back here. Your creeps wouldn't be able to see this far. And so this lets you see where Morphling is. That could have been a very sick initiate, which is only possible with the vision. Slow down, watch what he's up to. Ulted Viper. He is the enemy mid after all. I think the ult would also be pretty good on Morphling, except Morphling is much more mobile, and so he doesn't care so much about the like how slow you get with this ult. Oh, okay. Why doesn't it show in the ability? Why do you have to alt click it? I like knew this ability slow, but then I read this description. I was like, is it not? Yeah. So the slow Morphling doesn't care so much about because he's just hopping around as Earth Shaker anyways, and he has his waveform and everything, and he's still a ranged hero, of course. Now Viper's also a ranged hero, but he's like none of the mobility. So using the ult on Viper is a little more powerful, I think. Because you're not only getting the damage and the purge, you're also getting a very effective slow. They're playing very safe. I wonder if they're going to get Roshan again. Maybe not. They just bought back a ton. But then again, you use Spectron, so maybe they will wait it out. Uh-oh. Alright, you're probably just going to push now. Woo, close. This will be your last two buybacks. I'm pretty sure these two bought back earlier. Oh no. That's no good. That's extra no good. We're not getting the Aegis, guys. We're just going to end the game. Picks Ninja Gear to move a little faster, I would guess. Buys Drum maybe for just to end the game with. Activate it. I don't think this item matters at all. He could have bought anything. I think in a serious game where it's close, Aeon Disc would have been better. It prevents you from getting bursted, killed really quickly like that. But when the game's going to end like this, he's just going to like pop drums. Pop drums. Attack speed. Ninja Gear, I think, is actually a legitimate pickup if his team doesn't want it, because you can be in the smoke of deceit, and that helps keep you alive, lets you run around the back. But I kind of feel like maybe let's Spectre take instead. Oh, Minotaur Horn's pretty good. Yeah, if no one else wants the smoke of deceit, I think it's quite nice on like squishy backline heroes because you just like go around invis essentially. And it's great. The movement speed helps protect you. The agility is armor. You're not gonna... There we go. Drums of endurance. Look at this extra attack speed to end the game. I don't know why he didn't use it there. I guess the cooldown is actually kind of long, so maybe those were almost... They were already on their way to being dead. Why not use it over here on mid? Alright, this game looks done. Let's just speed it up through. I wasn't paying attention to the skill build. We should go look at that in the scoreboard. Just make sure nothing else crazy happens before this game ends. Are they going to get Megas? We're going to dive the fountain. What was I thinking? Why would we end the game? Here you go. More drum charges to slowly kill all these off. Alright, this game is done. Alright, let's go look at the skill build. Just have to make sure we didn't, like, miss anything, you know? Alright. Scoreboard. Come over here. So we saw him start Disruption. I am pretty curious if what other games he would have started with, like, Shadow Poison instead. So that is a question left remaining after watching this. Now, Soul Catcher, because of the way Soul Catcher works, and if you don't know the way his abilities work, you should go read the wiki. They are, like, a little complicated. I won't take the time to explain each and every one of them here, but Soul Catcher's just not that useful early in the laning stage. In its current state, it used to be a little better, but the way it works now, it's fine to pick it up a little later, I think. And then looks like he chose to max Disruption second. You get a lower cooldown. This is like your save spell, and it had really good targets if you want illusions. So like you could get the Spectre illusions or you get Morphling illusions. And so lowering the cooldown on this, getting more illusion damage, we see it scaling up quite a lot from 30% to 75%. We saw at the end when we clicked Morphling, actually I think it was like in the middle when we clicked Morphling, when they were still doing really well, Morphling had like 200 damage and it was all from agility. And so if you do 75% of that, that is nuts. 150 damage from 2 illusions. Crazy. Took cast range, took movement speed. I don't know if that... Maybe we shouldn't judge the last talent choice because the game was ending at that point. So it might have been a little memey, might have been serious. I can't really say. Just because I think the game was ending there. Because part of me thinks Soul Catcher might actually be really good against a Morphling who has strength attributes. And Earthshaker and Mars, like I actually think Soul Catcher might have a lot of value. But this is funnier. And this actually increases your damage a lot. Being able to cast 5 stacks of Shadow Poison in 5 seconds is crazy. But it's hard to say whether he legitimately thinks that's what you should take. Just because this game like was at the very end, and that's usually when you do like you get drums of endurance just because the game's ending. But did choose to max Soul Catcher last, and I think that also makes sense just because of the way it works. It's just better the stronger the enemy heroes are, and they're stronger when the game goes on later. So there you go. Stacked 7 camps. That's a pretty solid amount. Quite high, I would say. And that's one of the powers of Shadow Demon. Shadow Poison is cheap, and it does go for long range. So I know you can even practice like triple stacks with this hero in certain cases. It's too bad we didn't see any of those. At least I don't think we did. We saw double stacks for sure. Can't remember if he did any triple stacks. But I do know, I see it on Reddit pop up. People showing off like, watch me stack 5 camps at once with my illusions and Shadow Poison. Like, it definitely happens. I don't know how to do it. EHOME.xNova maybe also doesn't know how to do it. We didn't see him do it at all. But I also don't think he clearly did a fantastic job, and he didn't have to triple stack. So you can play this hero without doing that, but it is something you could look up if you want. Still got to 7 stacks without it, and farmed a couple. I'm glad we got to see like good cases of farming where he took jungle camps that wouldn't affect his carry. I want to point that out as much as possible. Not only for myself, but for you guys as well. It's really important for supports to be able to find time to farm. Let's look at his last hits. Yeah, 107 last hits. Now, of course, he is a pro, so he's good at this. But there are many games where, like, look at this AA. Now, he was having a rough time, but he's also rank 800, and look how low his last hits are. A part of this is that their team was doing well, so they were able to farm more. So it's a little unfair to make that comparison. But you do want to look for ways to get gold as the support in a way that does not steal from your carry. And I think that's a really important skill to learn. So I'll try to keep highlighting it as we see it happen. Support stuff. Got lots of smokes. It was a pretty close game up till 25, 26 minutes. If I had to guess, I already have the replay closed, but you could go and click through the video if you wanted. I would guess this is where they dove that this team, Morphling specifically, dove the tier 2 mid tower, and it led to the team throwing. I would guess that this is about where it happened, and that feels like it was about the right time. So you can see they were actually starting to dig in their own lead, but then that throw really changed the game, and they were able to pull it into a win. Wow, 50k ahead. That's uncommon. So it's very important not to do things like that, like dive the tier 2 tower. That could be a why did I lose episode right there. But it's not. It's here. I think that's it. I think that's all we have to say about Shadow Demon. Very cool hero. Not a lot of people are used to seeing it. I myself do not play a lot of Shadow Demon. But you can, like, if you learn the hero, I think because people aren't familiar with him, they don't, if you're low MR, they don't even know how Shadow Poison stacks, or people don't expect 35% of current health. That's pretty crazy. You know, if you get hit by Soul Catcher right off the bat and you are a tanky hero, you just lose 35% of your current health. That is nuts. His ult is also really powerful, and many people are not used to playing against him. So I think he's a really cool hero. I might try to learn him. I think Disruption is very high skill. Deceptively, even though it's like a click spell, it's kind of like Nightmare. It's a save or an initiation. And I think there's a lot of room to be like a fantastic Shadow Demon player. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.